Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. This lesson consists of subunit selection out of unit number 17, inheritance, and in which there are 5 subtopics given. I will discuss these topics in much more detail. So first subtopic is to describe the natural selection with reference to some points. So first of all, we will discuss the natural selection. Natural selection is the process by which individuals with characteristics better suited to their environment are more likely to survive, number one, then reproduce, and then can pass on their genes to the next generation. So these are the points they are required for the natural selection to happen. So out of the natural selection description, first point is that the variations within the population. So these are the facts that variations are always there because the sexually reproducing organisms, they have variations due to their meiosis cell division at the time of gamete formation. So within a population, individuals show variation in their characteristics due to difference in their genes and if we narrow down it, the alleles, some variations make certain individuals better adapted to the environment than others. Then comes the production of many offsprings. At the same time, there is another thing, there is another phenomenon, the production of many offsprings. The sexually reproducing organisms or even organisms are producing more offsprings, their progeny as per the requirement in order to make sure the survival of their species. So organisms usually produce more offsprings than the environment can support. So this creates competition for limited resources such as food, space, and mates. Then the struggle for survival, including the competition for resources. If the production of more offsprings than they required, then there will be struggle for survival and the what for the struggle. They have to get the resources and they have to compete, and the competition between the organisms of the same species is more what we say drastic and severe. Reason is because they are having same type of morphological excuse me, and physiological abilities, capabilities, and characteristic features. So organisms usually produce more offsprings than the environment can support. So this creates competition for limited resources such as food, space, and mates. Struggle for survival, including competition for resources, because resources are limited. Individual must struggle to survive. So those with advantageous characteristics mean better adaptation, having better adaptations are more likely to survive and get and pass through and will be able to successful in that particular competition, while others may die before reproducing. So if they survive, then they may go for reproduction. So reproduction by individuals that are better adapted to the environment than others. Obviously, if they survive, then they may be able to get go through the process of reproduction. The individuals that survive are usually are ones with better adaptations to their environment. So these individuals reproduce and pass on their advantageous characteristics to their offsprings. Then the last point is that the organism which are able to reproduce, they will be able to pass on their genes to their next generation and the better alleles. So these alleles responsible for advantageous traits are passing on to the next generation, becoming more common in the population over time. Gradually, this leads to evolution as a population becomes better adapted to their environment. So that was the description about natural selection. Then comes the second point in this selection subunit selection to describe how the inherited features of population can evolve over time as a result of natural selection. So natural selection causes population heredity traits to change over time, as we have already discussed. Individuals within, excuse me, within a population exhibit variety because of genetic variations. Certain people have traits that help them uh, better fit in with their surroundings. So these individuals have a higher chance of surviving, procreating, reproducing, and transferring their beneficial alleles. Beneficial allele means the alleles by which they were become they were better suited for their environment at that time. So evolution is the process by which the frequency of these alleles rises and the population progressively improves this environmental adaptation. Then the third point out of this subunit selection is to describe the development of strains of antibiotic resistance bacteria including MRSA. So MRSA stands for methicillin resistant Staphylococcus aureus. It is a bacteria, strain of bacteria, as an example of natural selection. Why this is given in our syllabus? Because this is a type of natural selection which we have seen over, we may name it as the 60-year span. So that's why this is a very useful example by which we can study the natural selection happening in our lifespan and good to quote. So development of antibiotic resistant bacteria, and the given example is MRSA in syllabus. There are many others, but MRSA is well known. When bacteria multiply, random mutation sometime occur in DNA. Obviously, whenever there is reproduction, the chances of errors are there. So these mutations can cause variation in the bacterial population. For example, some bacteria may develop an allele that make them resistant to a particular antibiotic. So we are naming it as allele. Reason is because in case of bacteria, there is only single set of chromosome. So single allele, we don't have the ability and what we say category to describe the other allele because there is only one chromosome, the so-called bacterial chromosome. When an antibiotic is given, most bacteria, the ones without resistance, obviously they will be killed. However, few bacteria that happen to have resistance mutation, they will survive. So it means that their resistance ability may be there, or sometime when we apply those antibiotics, so the bacteria having resistance, they will survive and they will get more chances to pass on their particular allele to next generation. So the surviving bacteria reproduce rapidly, passing on their resistance allele to their offsprings. So over the time, the population changes. Most of the bacteria become antibiotic resistance. This is an example of natural selection. Why? Because it was the nature who actually selected those antibiotic resistant bacteria. Because the environment presence of antibiotics has selected the bacteria with the advantageous characteristics of resistance. So MRSA, methicillin resistant Staphylococcus aureus is common example. It is a strain of Staphylococcus aureus that has evolved resistance to antibiotic methicillin. So not all the Staphylococcus aureus bacteria are resistant. The only we are taking the example of those Staphylococcus aureus which are resistant to methicillin. So the concern belong to those bacteria. Because of this, MRSA infection are difficult to treat and can spread easily in hospitals where antibiotics are often used. So this is an example, the figure in which the bacteria are there, but out of them, many bacteria we are able to only show a few. Say this bacteria is resistant, and when we are providing antibiotic, so the only the resistant bacteria will survive and they will be having chances to pass on their genes to next generation. So that's why they will be get selected. So then the fourth sub topic out of selection subunit is to describe the artificial selection, selective breeding with reference to following points. We will discuss those points later on. So now this is a change from natural selection to artificial selection. So artificial selection means selective breeding because we are performing the breeding, the humans. Definition: artificial selection, also known as selective breeding, is the process by which human select plants or animals or plants with desirable characters and breed them together to produce offsprings that show those desired traits over many generations. So this leads to the development of new varieties or breeds with enhanced useful features. Now the selection ability lies with the humans. So that's why this is artificial selection, not the natural environment. So first point for this artificial selection is to selection by humans of animals or plants with desirable features. Now the first point is to select the individuals with better features. So this is our first emphasis. Humans begin by identifying individuals that have useful or attractive characters to them. The features may include in animals high milk yield, in cows, fast growth, in chicken, and strong muscles in horses, because the parameters are different. Then the selective these features for selection, they are different. In plants, large size fruit, sweeter taste, disease resistance, or faster growth, or even drought resistant varieties. The farmer may select cows that produce most milk. A plant breeder may choose wheat plants with highest grain yield. So these individuals are chosen as parents for their next generation. So then the after the selection parameters, then the humans, they have to cross these individuals to get next generations. So the selected male and female animals are pollens of the plants. So we can perform the mating between them. So and pollination of the selected plants if they are plants. So the aim for the offspring to inherit the desirable character from both the parents. Example: a cow with high milk yield may be bred with a uh, bull that also comes from a line of high milk producers, because bull is not producing milk, but uh, its mother may be from that category, from that line, which is producing more milk, because the milk gene, if maybe if it is in autosomes chromosomes, then that bull should have that allele or gene in it. So, in order to increase the chances, the offspring will inherit high milk yield trait. So, the first point is the selection by humans of animals or plants with desirable features, then the crossing these to produce the next generation, then selection of individuals with better individuals, and repetition over generations to get and purify those characters in them. Then the selection of offspring showing the desirable features. So now we will select the individuals having desirable features. After offsprings are produced, the breeders examine them carefully and to see which individuals have inherited the desirable traits, because we don't have any force to only cross the sperms with better abilities, with eggs with better abilities. It's a chance. So only those offspring that show the best combination of desired character are selected again from the breeding in this next generation. The others, which do not show the desirable characters, are not used for further breeding. So example, out of many offspring plants, the breeders may select only those with largest fruit or best resistance to diseases for next crops. Then we have to go for the repetition over many generations. So this process is repeated over many generations. Each time only the best individual with most desirable characteristics from the parents will be selected. Over time, the population become more and more uniform and shows the desirable feature more strongly. As a result, new breed or variety is produced. For example, high yield dairy cattle, disease resistant crops, or fast growing chickens. So, what is the summary of process? The selection, human selected selection about the organism with desirable characters. Example is to select the cows with high milk yield. So these are crossed or breed, mating the selected cows and bulls and offspring with best traits are selected. So keeping calves producing more milk and then process repeated over generation produces produces a bred herd with very high milk yield. So this is the whole process in which the breeders they do their practice. So we are not talking about the genetically modified organisms or genetic engineering or CRISPR-Cas technology. We are only just describing the artificial selection which is being performed by the humans over the centuries. So what are the advantages and disadvantages of artificial selection? So what are the advantages? Improved yield, growth rate or quality, produces disease resistance or drought tolerant plants, and enhances appearance or performance of the animals. But what are the disadvantages? Reduced genetic variations because we are performing inbreeding, we are performing the self crossing. So the genetic variations become lesser. Many increase susceptibility to disease if the selected individuals they are performing, they are giving some better features to for our use, but they may have some disabilities, they may have some disadvantages characteristics for other characters. So the harmful resistance recessive traits may appear if those the recessive traits which were what we say harmful, so they may get cumulative in that particular breed. Then the last sub topic out of the unit selection, subunit selection, to describe the role of artificial selection in the production of economically important plants and animals. It is more or less repetition, but artificial selection, also known as selective breeding, we know it. In plants, artificial selection is used to produce high yielding, disease resistance, and better quality crops. What are the examples? Wheat and rice selected for higher grain yield, because in this case, in case of wheat and rice, our emphasis is to get grain. So we will go for better grain. And the resistance to diseases and drought and even to resistance to the pests. In case of maize, bred for larger cobs and more uniform kernels. Cob mean the whole structure and kernels of their seeds. So fruits and vegetables selected for better taste, size, color, and shelf life. For example, sweeter mangoes and seedless grapes and larger tomatoes. Oil producing plants like mustard and sunflower selected for high oil content and better quality oil. So the nutshell is that we go for the characters for which we are looking for. So this is different in different plants. So result increase food production and improve food quality to meet the market and nutritional demand. In animals, artificial selection help develop breed with high productivity, disease resistance, and desirable traits. For example, in case of cattle, they bred for the higher milk yield. For example, Frisian cow and Jersey cow, and for better meat quality, Angus, Angus cattle. So poultry, in case of poultry, chicken selected for faster growth and more egg production. If egg production is the parameter, then we will go for those poultry birds which are giving more eggs. And if the purpose is to get meat, then we will go for the faster growth and producing more meat in a unit time. Sheep bred for finer wool, and fish and livestock selected for rapid growth and better feed conservation. efficiency. So what is the summary? In case of plants, we go for improved yield, quality, resistance to plants, and even pest, diseases, and drought. In case of animals, improve production, quality, and efficiency. Methods: selecting best plants for seeds. In case of animals, selecting best males and female for breeding. Outcome: better crops for food and industry. And in case of animals, superior breeds for dairy, meat, and wool. So artificial selection allow humans to control heredity or enhance economically valuable traits in plants and animals, and ensuring higher productivity, quality, and profitability. So these are the main points. So selection is important. If it is nature selection, the selecting agency is nature. If artificial selection, then the selecting agent is human. So this was all about for this topic. Allah Hafiz.